Hello and welcome in the Ancient Historical Art Museum, wherein the finest and the most spontaneous art in each ancient era of history is seen. Before we begin, I would like to introduce myself. I am Zachary Gazingan, your host for this tour. From the comfort of your seat, you will explore the ancient arts from the beginning of history to the ancient art of Greece. With no further delay, we will start on the very first ancient era, the prehistoric art. The Paleolithic Age is where people started to discover artistic abilities and create art. As observed in the artworks from the Paleolithic era, food, animal, and hunting scenes were frequently portrayed through their carvings and fertility through Venus figurines. Since human beings from the Paleolithic Age were nomadic, they had to move from place to place and hunt different animals, which is why the predominant theme of art in the Paleolithic era was mainly animals. Let me introduce you to some of the most essential and influential artworks discovered from the Paleolithic Age. The first one can be considered as both an architecture and painting. This artwork is known as the Cave of Altamira. It is a prehistoric cave known for the huge collection of tremendous paintings and engravings found in it, especially charcoal drawings and polychrome painting of animals in the human hands. Most of the drawings were painted with red and black colors and are found on the roof of the cave. As I have said earlier, this painting's dominant theme were animals. It is located in the northern Spain in the province of Cantabria and is 971 feet long. Some experts also believe that this cave was used for rituals by shaman and people of the Paleolithic Age. Due to astounding artworks that were essential discoveries of prehistoric art, this cave in 1985 was designated as UNESCO's World Heritage Site. Sculptures and figurines played a big part in Paleolithic art as well, for they were used as both symbols and for rituals. So let's discover the different sculptures that played a big role in the art of Paleolithic Age. This second artwork that I'll be showing is called the Venus of Wilendorf. This figurine of a nude woman is believed to have been used as a fertility deity or a fertility image that embodies a mother goddess or a female deity. It is made of oolitic limestone and tinted with red ochre. It is approximately 11.1 centimeters tall, which makes it easily transportable through carrying by hand. It was found in Wilendorf, Austria in the year 1908, and due to its height, researchers suggest that it was only transported to Wilendorf. It is a very important artwork, for it breaks into the patriarchal system where only men can rule. The Venus of Hohenfels. This figurine made of mammoth ivory was discovered in 2008 in Hohenfels Cave, Germany. It is said to be 2.4 inches tall only, and it was pieced into 6 different pieces when found. Just like other Venus figurines such as Venus of Wilendorf, this sculpture is a symbol of fertility, or as the anthropologist who found the figurine said, this figure is a powerful depiction of the essence of being a female. Or Venus figurine found in the Paleolithic era was the Venus of Dolní, Věstonice. This is another statue of a nude female made of ceramic, and just like any other Venus figurines, it has big breasts and hips and a small head. It is also 4.4 inches tall and 1.7 inches wide. It was discovered in 1925, broken into 2 pieces, and was learned to be 29,000 years old by the time, which makes it the oldest known ceramic artifact. Last and most definitely not the least, we have the Lion Man figurine. This is the oldest known animal sculpture in the world, aging up to 40,000 years old, and also serves as an example of figurative art. It was created using mammoth ivory in a flintstone knife and is 31 centimeters tall. It is also known as a lion human, for it has a head of a lion and a body of a human. He serves as a representation of a human being that does not exist in physical form, but symbolizes ideas about the supernatural. Among all the wondrous pieces and works that were elucidated, we could say that cave art comes first in the list of works that were important in the Paleolithic period. Since this era is under prehistory, which means it occurred before writing was invented, there were no literary works about the history of our ancestors. In this case, archaeologists and researchers commonly relied on cave art in determining how our ancestors used to live. And as writing is still yet to exist, this was only the medium used by ancient beings in communicating with each other. With merely a sight of the artworks inscribed or drawn in the caves, a lot can already be presumed about how our ancestors believed, culture, lives, and artistic abilities. However, not only cave art, but every single one of these artworks that I have shown you lent a lot of information as to how the history of art started and how art continued to improve through the course of time. On to the next period in the prehistoric era, we have the Neolithic Age. Neolithic art and prehistoric art consist of arts and crafts created by societies that no longer lived in a nomadic lifestyle of hunting and switching from place to place, which therefore proves why the main art form of Neolithic was ancient pottery, including terracotta sculpture and other art forms that exhibited the artistic and creative abilities of human beings, such as prehistoric engravings and hand stencils, as well as a variety of furniture art. The construction of religious temples, shrines, and tombs also led to the development of megalithic art, or forms of stone architecture using megaliths. Most of the themes incorporated in the art of Neolithic Age were influenced by how they lived in daily life. They also started to believe systems in supernatural deities, which has also affected the way art was created in the Neolithic period. Let's figure more about their art, shall we? Considering the fact that prehistoric age did not have as much equipment and materials as other eras in terms of art, we could suggest that rocks must have been used frequently in their art, am I right? Rock art are man-made markings on stone such as rock carvings, engravings, inscriptions, rock drawings, and paintings were really significant in finding different information about the prehistoric age. Rock art made by our ancestors has introduced researchers to how they used to live in their daily lives through transcriptions, drawings, carvings, and etc. An example of this is Avebury rock art. It is a world-famous site located at the edge of Noda floodplain. It is also considered as one of the most impressive original rock art and even a favored camping place during particular seasons of the year. The sequence of Avebury rock art is divided into three, namely the pre-Austrian, Austrian, and freshwater, which is based on the styles of the images painted in it. Moving on, let's talk about the prehistoric art form called petroglyphs. Petroglyphs are cultural symbol that mainly represents the complexity of tribal religions and societies. The term petroglyph is derived from the Greek word petra, which means stone, and glyphine, which means to carve, therefore pertaining to any image created on the surface of a rock by scoring, chiseling, carving, or other similar methods. These symbols are central to the monuments and important venues where traditional formalities take place. The context of each symbol is very significant and fundamental to its meaning. Megalithic structures are well known in the architecture of the Neolithic period. These are sites built with multiple prehistoric stones called megaliths, or even just a single standing stone, in which case an example is a menhir. Megaliths have been used for construction of different sites in Neolithic periods such as monuments. These structures only started to flourish in the period where economic, cultural, and spiritual development of the society or an advanced system of living started to take place, until it is considered as one of the most interesting and common structures in the Neolithic period. Plenty of these were created, where there are over 35,000 in Europe alone. This has been one of the most crucial, typical, and permanent features of a landscape, and it has served as attraction spot for years. An example of this is called the Avebury. It comprises 3 circles of megaliths or stone, and although this purpose remained quite unknown, researchers believe that this spot was where rituals against natural threats were held. I have stated earlier, due to the fact that economic developments have occurred in the Neolithic period, pottery has become one of its main art forms. Pottery, which is the creation of an object made of clay hardened by heat, is one of the main functional arts to emerge in the prehistoric period. During the Neolithic Age, pottery had a life of its own. These were used dominantly for religious rituals and ceremonies, for cooking and for storing water and food. Also, through the creation of bowls, pottery was also useful for eating. Several artistic designs, patterns, paintings were possessed by clay pots, bowls, and other art forms created by pottery. Oftentimes, these works contain painted decors, usually red paint with light background or vice versa, with zigzag lines, flames pattern, or linear lines usually used as its pattern. The creation of pottery started off by stacking rings of clay and smoothing them out in a bonfire. Now, pottery is known to be a very complex process, and it is an absolutely fascinating idea that our ancestors architects from the Neolithic period were able to create such creative artwork. Since there was still a lack in the demand for artistic embellishment, ornamentations and portable carvings came into creation. Various decorative art was created and murals, tiny sculptures, and pottery designs started being used. Although functional art was the main focus and a lot more essential, Neolithic culture also desired for beauty, which is why different techniques were invented in order to satisfy their hankering for aesthetic decor. An artwork called the Ramene Thicket. It is a Mesopotamian sculpture or emblem dating in the Neolithic period excavated by Leonard Woolley from Iraq in 1928. Although it looks like it was made of gold, it actually is from wood and only hammered with golden sheets. If you're wondering, Ramene Thicket actually means goat in a tree. It is 46 centimeters tall and it contains really impressive details. Not only does it reflect the astounding artistic abilities of our ancestors, but also their social status, wealth, and beliefs. During the Neolithic period, writing system, language, sculpting, wood carving, metalworking, and other abilities that humans are capable of continued to develop more as the Metal Age entered. With this being said, art and architecture started to flourish more. Humans started to use metal as it was discovered and learned the method called smelting, where metal is being melted in order to easily shape and manipulate them. As the economy grew and as humans thrive in the art field, much more artistic details are being observed in artifacts and weaponry. To make you further understand what the art of Metal Age consists of, let us dive right into the journey of Metal Age art. First one is the Petrie Crown. This is an example of a Celtic Iron Age metalwork. It is made of several bronze pieces and discs, and a horn which appears to have been cut from a bronze sheet then beaten and rolled into its shape. Various motifs, lotus bud, and palmet imagery are being employed in the artwork. It was discovered in County Court and it was said to be named after its former owner, whose name is George Petrie. Next one is the Ogham Stones of Southern Ireland. Ogham is known as one of the earliest forms of writing in the Ireland, and this was incorporated or carved in the said Ogham Stones, which is referred to as the Celtic tree alphabet. There are around 400 Ogham inscriptions scattered around Ireland. Next, we have the StoneHedge. It is a collection or a ring of standing stones that are 13 feet high and 7 feet wide. Sarsen stones or silicified sandstones are blue stones that were used in making of these stones. In addition to this, according to archaeologists, it was built by the Druids or the Celtic high priests. For the fourth one, we have the Snettisham Great Torc. It is a large Iron Age golden neck ring or a torc that is made of 64 threads which are all 1.9 mm wide. This artwork exhibited the superb artistry and craftsmanship of human in the Metal Age. Soon after the discovery of the artwork, it was immediately acquired by the British Museum. Last is called the Hasanlu Gold Bowl. It is a bowl made of gold engraved with images of gods and rituals, which was discovered by Robert H. Dyson in 1957. The unique artwork showcased the expertise of our ancestors in creating goldsmith art, with it being constructed with artistic motifs and engravings. Although it was flattened and crumbled when found, making it hard for researchers to bring it back to its original shape, it was still marked as one of the greatest finds or discoveries in that decade. That's it for the prehistoric period. As we can all tell, dating back from centuries ago, art has already been used widely for different functions and reasons. As the year passed, different improvements in art have already been observed. If not for prehistoric art, which is where art originated, we wouldn't have the materials and techniques that we continue to utilize in this day and age. Now, let us explore the significant and extravagant artworks of ancient Egypt. Egyptian art intends to reflect the worlds of gods through the variation of their art forms. Size is a very important element in Egyptian pieces in order to portray power or superiority. On the other hand, the use of hieroglyphics is also very essential. Egyptian artworks were created to provide use, specifically a home for spirits and gods such as temples, tombs, and pyramids. Allow me to introduce some of the most significant artworks that have contributed a lot to the tradition and beliefs of the ancient Egypt and the Egypt we are known today. One of the most known architectures of ancient Egypt is the Great Pyramid of Giza. the largest pyramid of the three Giza pyramids and oldest among all of the 7 wonders of the age-old world. The pyramid was built during the reign of King Khufu and was the tallest architectural structure in the world for over 4,000 years, with a height of 479 feet and a base of 754 feet, and was built with over 2 million blocks of stone. The next architectural structure of Egyptian art is the Temple of Abu Simbel. One of the main purposes of this temple is to honor Pharaoh. The walls of these temples are covered with carvings and engravings showing Pharaoh's victories in wars. Most of the pictures inside the structure also shows Pharaoh together with other gods. When it comes to sculpture, one of the most known is the bust of Nefertiti. Nefertiti's name is considered as one of the most influential images in ancient Egypt because she represents the ideal feminine beauty. She is also widely known for her sandstone bust, which became the global icon of feminine beauty and power. The statue of Cleopatra VII Philopator is another famous and important sculpture in ancient Egypt. This statue is said to be very rare. This sculpture portrays the most famous queen of Egypt, Cleopatra VII. It shows a striking woman in long, tight-fitting dress holding the horn of plenty with her left hand and with her right hand the ankh, which is a hieroglyph of life, and more important components such as her tripartite wig with 3 royal snakes known as a uri. Many more astonishing artworks that ancient Egypt has in store, but for now we are down to the last Egyptian art form, but not the least, the throne of Tutankhamun. It was discovered in 1922 by Howard Carter, a British archaeologist. This majestic gold throne was made for Pharaoh Tutankhamun, who reigned from 1330 to 1323 BC. Out of all of the artworks in the Egyptian Valley of Kings, this golden throne was the only one that wasn't robbed. One of the elements this throne has that deserves appreciation is the complexity and the abundance of its details. The luxurious colors of this throne have not faded over 3,000 years, which shows the high skill of the early Egyptian craftsmen. As a whole, ancient Egypt is one of the many areas that displayed such significant and opulent art forms that has been known for years. Now that we have explored the wonders of Egyptian art, let us now analyze and examine the intricacy of Roman art and how it affects the Roman cultures and traditions. Roman art is inspired by a number of subjects. It includes animals, portraits, and mythological figures. Their paintings are more focused on landscape and the trivial subjects of life. In contrast to Greek art, the Roman art incorporated a better deal of perspective and paid attention to shading and texture in their craft. They also specialized in painting mosaics and mural portraying landscape, literature, and mythology. The most often used color in Roman art, specifically paintings, are deep red, yellow, green, violet, and black. One of the many known Roman statues is the statue of Bernini's Apollo and Daphne. This life-size marble statue shows Apollo grabbing onto Daphne as she attempts to escape from him when her father transformed her into a laurel tree to save her. One of the best features of the statue is how her fingers slowly turn into leaves, which exhibits Bernini and his excellent skill despite his young age, since he started working on the statue at the age of 24. Another statue from the Roman era is the equestrian statue of Marcus Aurelius. This life-size statue of an emperor stands approximately 4.24 meters tall. This piece was originally made using lost wax technique along with other pieces and soldered together after casting. These equestrian statues were very common during the Roman era, wherein they honor military achievements, but over the years, few of them have only survived. Next is the mosaic in Santa Maria in Trastevere. This mosaic is located in one of the oldest churches in Rome, the Basilica of Santa Maria of Trastevere. It depicts the life and the coronation of Virgin Mary, with Pope Innocent II holding a model of the church. Up next is the Column of Trajan. This structure stands as a landmark in the city and is one of the most significant and best monuments of ancient Rome. Aside from the stunning structure itself, there are 2,662 figures carved all over its surfaces, showing 155 different scenes. These engravings gave a very detailed impression of the operation of the Roman army. Over the years, this has been one of the well-known attractions in the world. Lastly, we have the Arch of Constantine. This architectural structure is one of the most significant structures in ancient Rome because it was built to celebrate the victory of the last great Roman emperor, Constantine, against Maxentius at the Battle of Milvian Bridge. In addition, it was the largest surviving triumphal arch with a height of 21 meters and the last great monument of Imperial Rome. For our next era, we have ancient Greece. Ancient Greek art stands out among other ancient arts for its development of naturalistic but idealized depiction of human body, in which largely nude male figures were generally the focus of innovation. It is commonly expressed through their sculptures, as it is known as the common type of art in Greece. However, the essence of Greek art isn't only expressed through sculpture, but also with their paintings, architectures, mosaics, and pottery. Greece is divided into three periods: the Archaic, the Classical, and the Hellenistic period. The Archaic period focuses on the establishment of their own identity. In this period, proportion and depiction of cultural tradition is important, so they express this through exquisite proportion and geometrical shapes. During this era, Kouros is one of the most famous sculptures. It is a statue of a standing nude youth that did not represent any one individual youth, but the whole idea of youth. Kouros is used in archaic Greece as both a dedication to the gods in sanctuaries and as a grave monument. Skophros is an ancient Greek statue of the Archaic period, also known in English as the calf bearer. This sculpture is widely known in Greek art, and it sets a reminder to the Greeks that they must give up a calf to the gods as a sacrifice. Hence, the sculpture was set up on Acropolis, the holy citadel of Athens. As for architecture, the Temple of Apphia stands out from the rest. The Temple of Apphia is formerly known as the Temple of Jupiter Panhelenius. Lauded as one of the most developed and beautiful archaeological sites, the Temple of Apphia at Aegina was locally focused sanctuary that celebrated a very niche yet much reversed goddess Apphia. It was a symbol of local polis pride, but also a site used in and affected by inter-police conflict and rivalry. During the classical period, the naturalism principle guarded the arts of classical Greece because of how Greeks highly idealized bodies of mankind. This is also the reason why many sculptures are nude. Just like other periods in Greece, classical art provides such unique sculpture that gives distinction to the characteristic of its art. The statue Aphrodite of Knidos is very well known during the classical period because of the meaning behind the sculpture and the controversies that surround it. The Aphrodite of Knidos is one of the first life-size representation of the nude female form in Greek history, in which it gave way to the idea of displaying nudity within women. The statue is inspired by the goddess Aphrodite, in which she is preparing for the ritual bath that restores her purity, discarding her drapery with one hand while modestly shielding herself with the other. The placement of her hands obscures her pubic area while simultaneously drawing attention to her exposed upper body. This aspect of the sculpture makes it very controversial since it depicts an emotion of confidence with the revelation of the goddess' nudity, but at the same time shows shyness through the way the hands of the sculpture covers her pubic part. Architecture played an important role in Greek art. The Parthenon Acropolis is one of the most influential buildings in Greek history that stands on top of the citadel of Acropolis. It was dedicated to the goddess of wisdom and patron of the Athenians, Athena. The Parthenon was initially built as a celebration and thanks to the gods for the Hellenic victory over the Persians, but it also stands as an enduring symbol of Athenian democracy, ancient Greece, and Western civilization. It has served many roles over time, from a church dedicated to the Virgin Mary in the final decade of the 16th century to a mosque after the Ottoman conquest in the early 1460s. Euphonious crater is an ancient Greek terracotta calyx crater, a bowl used for mixing wine with water. It is the only complete example of the surviving 27 vases painted by the renowned Euphonious and is considered one of the finest Greek vase artifacts in existence. The Euphonious crater holds a special place, symbolizing the war against the clandestine tomb robbing and illicit trafficking of the nation's culturally patrimony. The last Greek art period is the Hellenistic period. In the Hellenistic period in Greece, artists focused on bringing lifelike sculpture by incorporating three characteristics into their work: expressive movement, realistic anatomy, and ornate details. They make their art as realistic, innovative, and lifelike as possible with the use of proportionate geometric shape and lifelike details. The Hellenistic art forms came out with more dramatic expressions of the spiritual as well as a preoccupation, which shows how during Hellenistic period, philosophy and spiritual identities started to be evident in Greece. Sculpture Laocoon and his Sons, also known as the Laocoon Group, was originally created by three great Greek sculptors from the islands of Rhodes, Aegisander, Polydorus, and Athenodorus. This life-size statue, situated at the Vatican Museum in Rome, is made of marble and depicts a Trojan priest named Laocoon, together with his sons Thymbraeus and Atiphantes, being throttled by the sea serpents. In style, it is considered one of the finest examples of the Hellenistic Baroque, and certainly in the Greek tradition, but it is not known whether it is an original work or a copy of an earlier sculpture, probably in bronze, or made for a Greek or Roman commission. Ancient Greek methods mainly revolved around the use of pebbles, barring the use of mediums such as stained glass. This pebble method soon took on more shape and form with the invention and widespread use of the Serra technique, which evolved even further into the Hellenistic era of ancient Greek history. The pebble mosaic of Olynthos is an important Greek mosaic discovered in Pella. Mosaic art exemplifies the fact that the assortment of light and dark-colored pebbles were becoming the norm. With a large majority of beautiful depictions of Greek god, this beautiful manipulation of contrast allowed more vivid details to be interspersed through the use of free mosaic pattern. For our final art, we have the Hermes and the Infant Dionysus, also known as the Hermes of Praxiteles, or the Hermes of Olympia, is an ancient Greek sculpture of Hermes and the Infant Dionysus discovered in 1877 in the ruins of the Temple of Hera, Olympia in Greece. It is displayed at the Archaeological Museum of Olympia. It is traditionally attributed to Praxiteles and dated to the 14th century BC, based on a remark by the 2nd century Greek traveler Pausias, and has made a major contribution to the definition of Praxitelean style. Contribution is, however, the object of fierce controversy among art historians, deriving a huge amount of attention to the sculpture itself. Until now, many historians say that the sculpture is unlikely to have been one of Praxiteles' famous work, as no ancient replicas of it have been identified. The documentary evidence associating the work with Praxiteles is based on a passing mention by the 2nd century AD traveler Pausanias. Of all the arts presented and created during ancient Greece, the most important art is pottery. It is lauded for the intrinsic beauty of its form and decoration and for the light it sheds on the development of Greek pictorial art. Because of how fired clay pottery is highly durable, the Greeks used pottery vessels primarily to store, transport, and drink such liquids as wine and water. Smaller pots were used as containers for perfumes and unguents, making pottery useful for the life of Greeks. However, sculpture is known to be also famous and important, for it is the basis of ancient Greek art and the art Greeks used to express their identity. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now seen one of the most spontaneous and finest art in each ancient era of history. On behalf of the Ancient Historical Art Museum, we thank you for joining us on this trip around the ancient world.